Recording. We should be good. All right, who else do we just have join? Melissa from Oklahoma, welcome. We are about 50 deep right now. This is super exciting tonight, guys, and looks like I said, just about every single state in the country is represented. Georgia actually had quite a few people on here. We got our one international friend on here for now, but that might change. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are here for prospect orientation, you are in the right place. I am your host for tonight. My name is Ryan Summers. I'm one of the national recruiting directors here at NCSA. You're going to see 4 logos there. Places I've been affiliated: Linden State College, where I went to undergrad; University of Vermont, where I worked in their athletic department for probably 4 to 5 years; Northwestern University, just north of Chicago, where I earned my master's degree in athletic administration. Worked in their athletic department, and then going on 5 years, I have been one of the recruiting directors here at NCSA. This is about you tonight, not about me, but I at least want you to know who it is talking to you tonight, who you're taking time to listen to for a little bit tonight, and who's going to be answering your questions. So I was a 2-sport athlete in college and co-captain with one of the top 25 teams in the country as a sophomore for basketball at the Division III level. Recruited at higher levels of college, but I found the right home at a Division III school. They allowed me to play both sports for family reasons. I didn't want to be moving too far away from home, which is something I know a lot of you are all considering doing, and something I was heavily considering doing. Worked with a lot of Division I athletes as an advisor for several years at the University of Vermont women's basketball program, men's hockey program. I was a college basketball play-by-play and color commentator for a company called the Northeast Sports Network. Did a little bit of a stint with ESPNU, Comcast Sports, Nesson, a lot of different companies there. And like I said, I graduated from Northwestern University with a master's in athletic administration just a couple of years ago, and I've been one of the recruiting directors here for the past 4 years. Again, this is about you tonight, not about me, but I at least wanted to give you guys that. Aiden, our second international friend on for tonight, a hockey player from Canada. Welcome, Aiden. And Alexis from Indiana, looks like the last couple that we've seen joining. So we're going to get into who is NCSA in just a second. The first thing I want to do, though, is have everybody type. If you are a student athlete that is on this webinar tonight, you are here because you think you might have the ability to compete in college someday and you would like to do so, type me. All I want to see is me. I just want to get an idea of who is here for that reason. Perfect. I think you all are in the right place because we have a lot to go over tonight. Now, if you are the parent of a student athlete who aspires to be a college athlete and you want to avoid the nightmare of figuring out how to pay full tuition, go ahead and type parent. I just want to see what parents are on here. So go ahead and type parents. Charles, Steve, Jamie, Anders, Dan, Dorothy, Brant, Daryl, Bailey, awesome. Well, I hope you guys are all in the right place too. Joanna, awesome. So, again, this is prospect orientation. I want you all to have a really, really good understanding of what this website is. And I cannot emphasize this enough. You're going to hear me say it probably 15 times tonight. If you are not on the basic NCSA website, you are going to make your recruiting process way harder than it needs to be. This is right now by far the most commonly looked at website that college coaches are going to log into and see what students they might be interested in. There's a basic part of the site. There's an advanced part of the site. We're going to go over all of that tonight, but I want you all to feel very confident in being able to post a profile on here. It's like having a resume. A lot of coaches are going to ask you throughout the years if you have one of these so that they can see everything they need to in one place. So who is NCSA? The largest NCAA approved recruiting organization in the world. There's 300 plus college scouts here. We're all former college athletes or coaches. There's nearly 600 employees, so it's a huge tech company too that creates matching algorithms so that you as a family know exactly which schools you should be reaching out to and why before you start aimlessly flying all over the country and driving all over the country and just emailing coaches for no reason. It just streamlines it for you. So 41,000 active college coaches for 29 sports that are using this website, okay? It got 500,000 logins last month from college programs, okay? 5 million student-athlete profile views in 2016. 100,000 NCSA student-athletes have committed over time. The average that students are getting right now using this website that they're reporting is $17,000 a year. That's not strictly athletic money. That's everything: academic, merit, need-based aid, athletic money, whatever it is, whatever package a school can come up with for you. That's what they're averaging right now, okay? But the biggest thing is you have to use it. This isn't about somebody else finding you a school. Anyone that says, I'm a recruiter, I get you into college for you, think about that. That's someone telling you they're going to dictate your future for you. You should all have a huge hand in this, okay? This website just makes it a lot easier. And again, you have about 600 employees here. We're all former college coaches and athletes that are here to help you guys through this process. So, topics for tonight. Academics. Of course, you are a student first, and that is why student comes first in student athlete. It sounds cliche, but it is true, and it's never been more true, okay? Recruiting education tonight. Best practices for getting coaches to take interest in you as a prospect in general, and using the basic NCSA site to create leverage, okay? Optional. There are premium aspects of NCSA. Yes, recruiting can cost money, but it also saves you a lot of money if you do it correctly, and there's a lot of variations to it to make sure there's something for everybody. There's a lot of grants and scholarships for the kids that are going to qualify for a lot of need-based aid. We are certainly going to go over this tonight. It's not a requirement to be on the website. There are options for parts of the premium site, but again, if you're not at least on the basic site, you're going to make your recruiting process a lot harder than it needs to be. Everyone should be on the basic site. Again, I'm going to tell you that about 15 times tonight. And what I'm going to highly suggest to a lot of you is to set up what's called a recruiting assessment. It's a one-on-one with your family and one of our recruiting specialists that usually takes about an hour, and it at least activates a page for you so that you have a live presence on here for coaches to find you. At the end, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So you guys can type questions. I will answer as fast as I can. Right now there's 60 of you, and there's one of me, so I'll do my best at that point. But what I want to start off with is this right now. I want you all to type in, parents or students, doesn't matter. Are you, the student athlete or the parent, a college prospect right now on varsity, preferably playing for a club team too, not a requirement, but preferably getting good grades and ready to get to work? Type in CP. You are a college prospect right now. And I want you guys to remember what you typed in at the end of this, because it's going to be different, my instructions for what you're going to want to do next. Awesome. That's a big representation that are saying CP. Perfect. If anybody on here is a likely prospect, you're unsure if colleges would be interested in you yet, but you're trying to do all the right things to improve as an athlete, getting good grades, go ahead and type in LP. See, somebody says CP, ninth grader on varsity. That's what we like to see, Quintavious. All right. A couple of likely prospects, a lot of college prospects. Awesome. So now what I'm going to ask you all to do is refrain from typing into the chat box until I open it up for the Q&A section at the very end. We got to get through this presentation, and I don't want to stop for everybody, so that certainly I want to be able to answer all the questions. Again, we're about 70 deep now, and just remember, if you typed in college prospect or likely prospect, and I'm sure some of you showed up a little bit late, that's fine. I'll explain that at the end when we get there. Just remember what you typed, because your instructions at the end will be a little bit different. So, like I said, number one, we're going to start off with academics. This is the most important thing. And guys, the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me, and the best thing that ever happened to me, I failed 2 classes my second semester freshman year of college. We had one of the best basketball programs our school had ever seen, and I was ineligible the first semester strictly because I didn't take care of business in the classroom. And there was that point in my life that I made a promise to myself that I would never fail at anything ever again just because of effort. And since then, it was nothing but straight A's for the rest of college and through grad school. Hopefully that resonates with a lot of you, and it doesn't take you until your sophomore year of college to realize that nobody else is going to do this for you. This isn't mom and dad. It's not coach. It's your life, and the better your grades are, the more opportunities you're going to have. I know mom and dad preach that, and my God, is it true, okay? Prepare your eligibility. A lot of you are familiar with that blue circle that you see right there called the NCAA, okay? There's another governing body for collegiate athletics called the NAIA that some of you might not be as familiar with. Both are awesome options. They're just different. NAIA schools tend to be a little bit smaller, but they tend to compete also between about a Division III and a Division II level, but there is athletic money unlike at the Division III level. So for a lot of you, especially if you have a little bit of a harder time in the classroom right now, the NAIA is a wonderful option to explore, okay? Both have their own eligibility centers. If you hear anybody calling it the NCAA Clearinghouse, tell them to get out of 2002. It's called the NCAA Eligibility Center. You have a phone number there. You have links there. I am more than happy to send these slides to anybody who wants them following this. But there's the number. There is the link there. I usually suggest looking into this, at least familiarizing yourself by sophomore year, no later than junior year. What does this mean? The Eligibility Center, again, formerly known as the Clearinghouse, they're going to be looking for two things, okay? Those two things are you meeting your requirements in your core classes? Not your underwater basket weaving, not your PE. They want to know about your English, your science, your math, and there shouldn't be a guidance counselor in America that isn't helping you through that, or our international friends that are on here. Your guidance counselors should all be right in line with that. The other thing is they want to make sure that you have amateur status. You've never been paid to compete, okay? So your NCAA or your NAIA eligibility centers, you need to contact them. There's usually like a $75 fee. You're going to get a PIN number, and whenever a coach wants you to come to visit their school, they're going to be asking you for a PIN number. This all happens when you become an upperclassman, junior, senior year, and your senior year should be your victory lap. You're not doing all your recruiting your senior year. You are doing your victory lap. You've got everything pretty much figured out by the end of junior year. You've been constantly contacting coaches since freshman, sophomore year. That is ideal. And if you're a little bit late to the process, all the more reason to get one of these recruiting assessments done tonight, like I'm going to explain to you in a little bit. So there is something called the sliding scale. I was a much better test taker than I was a student. A lot of people are the opposite. Whatever it is that you are stronger at, luckily, admissions processes, coaches, schools have what's called the sliding scale, where they're going to take into consideration if you're strong in one and not at the other. However, the biggest thing and the best advice I can give you is prepare for your ACTs and SATs. And why do we say that? Really good example. I was talking to a dad a little while ago whose daughter was going to compete at Florida State, and in her offer letter, they told her to get her ACT score up one more point, and they could knock another $6,000 off her tuition that year. That's a very, very extreme example, but that's a very real example, okay? They required a 25, she had a 24. So why am I saying that? If you are putting this off, if you've only taken your ACTs or SATs once and you're contemplating taking them again, I know it's not the most fun you've ever had on a Saturday, but if it can save you that much money, it might be worth taking again. And typically you're going to do better the second time around. So prepare for your ACTs and SATs. We highly suggest using Princeton Review. They contacted us, wanted to partner with this website when they saw what this was doing for student athletes and how it was keeping them in line in the classroom and focused on doing the right things in recruiting. Princeton Review wanted to be the official partner for ACT, SAT prep here at NCSA. Okay. Do not use this as a cop-out, but I do want you to know that some schools do not require ACTs or SATs. They are called test optional. This is basically just for seniors that might be on here that are throwing up a Hail Mary right now, and they're pretty lost as far as recruiting goes. This is possible. For you international students that are on here, you will need to take it. You'll also need to take something called a TOEFL. Again, I'm going to be teaching an international strictly webinar next Saturday, I believe it is. It'll be Sunday if you're in the eastern part of the world. But what I'm going to do, like I said, is send these slides out to anybody that wants them at the end. There are schools that are test optional. Just don't use that as a cop-out unless you are really scrambling right now, okay? As a student athlete, you all should be able to maximize your financial aid, okay? Everybody gets caught up in looking for just athletic scholarships, athletic money. Oh, my friend got a basketball scholarship. Well, wonderful. There's a lot of other ways for you to get school paid for. That is one of the biggest things that NCSA is here to help you with, is all the stuff that's boring, monotonous, and is really impactful and it ends up saving your wallet. Know your expected family contribution. So these are the kind of things that if you start asking these to coaches, to schools, to admissions processes, you just sound really intelligent. You can ask them for what's called an EFC. Any school that you're going to be applying to, they can take a look at your household income, and they can give you an expected family contribution, an EFC, what your family's expected to contribute to your son or your daughter's education. Okay. Seniors, ask the coach for an early financial aid read. If you're still scrambling, you don't know what schools you want to be reaching out to or who's even looking for somebody in your position, and you don't know if you can afford it, you can ask them for an early financial aid read. They can do that well ahead of letting you know as far as being admitted to their school. Know the financial aid policy at the college. Example, for our international friends that are on here tonight, a lot of schools have just a side pot of need-based aid just for international students. Okay, a lot of schools have a lot of different policies as far as in-state, out-of-state. Ask these questions. Make sure you know what that school is going to cost you. Just because you see what the tuition normally is for in-state and out-of-state doesn't mean that's what you're paying. Okay. Obtaining outside scholarships. Again, this is what NCSA is very good about helping you with, is understanding how to get an entire package, not just looking at academic, helping you understand what you qualify for. Okay. There's a company called Smart Track that we work with that helps you guys through all of that. And then bottom line, have leverage. You are an athlete. You are somebody that a school should want within their program. And even if they tell you, oh, I don't have athletic money, but you have good grades or you do a lot of extracurricular things that should be able to, in turn, get you to save a lot of money, you should have leverage. And you should be able to confidently tell a coach that there are a lot of schools that are looking at you. And don't lie to them. But if you have a lot of schools that are looking at you, and again, that's what this site is for, is so that you have a lot of schools that are paying attention to your high school career, now you're going to have leverage. You're not just going to go up to a school and say, I want to play for you, but no one's interested in me. Now you can go up to them and say, I have 20, 30, 40 schools that are following my NCSA page. I'd rather play for you, coach. That's called having leverage. Okay. Recruiting education for tonight, everybody. Does hearing from a few schools mean I'm being recruited? No. If you're getting some personalized stuff, maybe. But way more often than not, when I'm following up with a family and the first thing I ask them is, who are you hearing from? Who are you reaching out to? And I hear, oh, we've gotten a couple letters. And then I have to ask, is that from the admissions office? Is that from the coach? And it's, oh, I think it's from admissions. You're not necessarily being recruited. You're on a mailing list, okay? It's very obvious when you're being recruited. Their coaches are contacting your coaches. For those of you I was testing to see who knew this, all of you that are 2019s, our rising junior class, okay? Our rising junior class right now, today, June 15th, is the day that Division II schools can start contacting you directly. It's going to be September 1st for the rest of the divisions, and we'll go over that in just a second. But does hearing from a few schools mean you're being recruited? Probably not, okay? You need to have a lot more going on than that, and that's what the site allows you to see, is who is actually interested. Is walking on an option? Yes, but it's not a good option. Again, if you have value, you're a student athlete, you're somebody that this school should want on their campus, walking on means you are paying full price for school. Some of you want to just play at the biggest school possible and sit on the bench and never get in, and that's a success story. If that's what you want, that's all well and good, but it's probably not the best option for most of us. A lot of us want to get playing time. They want people to even know that you're on the team, because a lot of times when you get lost down on the end of the bench and you're walking around campus, people don't even recognize who you are. So just think about that, okay? Important dates to know. Again, I will send these slides out to anybody that wants them, but this is really important if you guys do have your pen and paper. First day of class, freshman year, you are technically a recruitable athlete by NCAA standards. There are some exceptions. Men's basketball, it's earlier. You're now technically a recruitable athlete as a 7th grader. Does that mean coaches are making big decisions on all 7th graders? No. Does that mean you need to panic and start picking a major and pick a school and put all kinds of pressure on your 7th grader? No. But what that does mean is that's when you can get started in sending your information out, just getting on coaches' radars. And that is the biggest thing. You don't want to hit one of these dates like June 15th today, following your sophomore year, having never reached out to any schools and keeping your fingers crossed that someone's going to call you. That is like parents that are on here hoping that someone's going to hire you for a job that you've never applied for. Probably not going to happen. Okay. Anyone that tells you, oh, if you're good, you'll be found, that's great. If you're the top 1% in the country, otherwise you're just leaving it up to chance, and you're going to go to a school where your uncle has a connection, and who knows if that's the right school. You probably don't want to leave your kid's future up to chance like that. So, like I was saying, June 15th, following sophomore year, Division II college coaches can start contacting you all. That is today. Junior class, rising juniors right now. If you have not started to hear from coaches, ask yourself, have I been sending video out? Have I been sending emails out? What have I been doing? And most all of you, I'm probably going to suggest setting up one of these recruiting assessments anyways, most importantly for you. September 1st of your junior year. Now this is Division I, Division 2, 3, all of them are going to be contacting you junior year. That is for the rest of us. November, about mid-November is usually what's called an early signing period for seniors. So for those of you that are in the class of 2018, I'm going to be looking at schools. You already have a pretty good idea. That is your early signing period. And then regular signing period is going to be typically around tax day, and it's going to go all the way up until the end of August. Don't leave it all up to chance and throw a Hail Mary at the end. My absolute favorite slide on here, social media. Understand the right and the wrong way to use social media, and I cannot emphasize this enough, clean it up. If your grandmother, if your grandfather, if your parents wouldn't want to see it, it shouldn't be on there. You have the rest of your life to put funny stuff on your social media, your Instagrams, your Facebook, your Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is. Clean it up, because it can impact your future so much if you have the wrong things on there. You'll never understand how serious this is until it happens to you or a friend of yours, but it literally can happen in just one post that somebody else posted. It doesn't even have to be you. If you are even in the background of a picture and somebody's holding one of those red Solo cups at a party, and you're not even holding it, you're just in the background, and a coach sees that, gone. That's how quick a scholarship can go, okay? There are right ways to use social media. It can be good, but there's a lot of wrong ways too, and I'm going to give you a great example of that. About it was football season, so probably last October or so, I was on Instagram. I do a lot of our social media here with NCSA, so you'll probably come across some of my accounts, and happy to connect with you guys. But I was in an NFL forum mentioning something about my favorite team and their upcoming game that day, and some kids started cussing me out, let me know, he's really letting me have it. And I look at his profile, and it says 2020 men's basketball prospect. And I direct messaged him and said, this is my title, this is what I do. I'm probably one of the last people in the country that you want to be cussing out right now. I ended up talking to him, my mom, and she got a good laugh out of it, but I was just trying to look out for him. It's one of those things, you never know who's watching, what coaches are looking. That's the wrong way to use it, okay? And if you're posting stuff on there, political beliefs, anything that is belittling to other people, get it off. It's the first thing coaches are going looking for, just to see, are you a knucklehead or are you somebody I want on my team, okay? There are good ways to use social media. If you put a link to your NCSA profile in there, if you start following some of your coaches that you might be talking to that might be actively recruiting you, and you have a link to maybe your YouTube page or your video, again, your NCSA page, you start liking some of their stuff. Well, maybe they'll be curious about who you are. They'll become familiar with your name. You're just building a relationship with them. Don't be annoying about it, okay? But that's the right way to use it, all right? So it's not all bad, but I cannot tell you enough, and parents, I hope you appreciate that. Clean it up. When does the recruiting process begin? There's no crystal ball. It's not the same for everybody. It's different. What I always tell people, the second you are on varsity, that is when your recruiting process should begin. Or if you know for a fact that you're going to be on varsity this summer going into it, then it can start then too. You just have to have a little bit different expectations that you're not going to probably have 10, 15, 20 colleges following you, within a month, but you can still get the ball rolling. So if you're a freshman on varsity, I think it was Contavious who said that to us, you should be you should be rocking and rolling by now, man. You should be sending video out. You should be filling out questionnaires. The more schools that know who you are, the better chance you're going to have of having options someday. This is not uncommon, but I've seen, and it's the kids that use this the most. They might have 2, 3, even up to 400 college coaches that are following their profile by the time they graduate high school. They're going to have a lot of options, okay? But when should it start? Way before contact date. So June 15th following your sophomore year, you should have already been sending information out to school so that you're anticipating somebody reaching out to you. September 1st of junior year, you should start it way before that. Now, what do I mean by starting your recruiting process? Some of you are late bloomers. Some of you aren't on varsity yet. Some of you don't even know if you want to play in college yet. Fine. This isn't about yes or no, are you playing in college? This isn't about pick a major, pick a school, and just absolutely crush your kids with this information and make them, panic. This is all about keeping doors open, making sure that you're casting a wide net. And if you're not doing that at a young enough age, it is going to become stressful. You don't want to be one of those families that calls into us senior year, junior year, saying, well, what the heck were we supposed to be doing this whole time? All of her friends, all of his friends are hearing from schools. This is probably really small. You should see a little thing in the bottom corner there that says 80% of Division I prospects are identified by the end of their sophomore year. Think about that, okay? How the heck can a coach identify you if you can't even talk to them, right? Wrong. Coach can't call you directly. That is the only rule. And everybody gets caught up on it. Oh, a coach can't talk to me yet. Absolutely they can. You call them, but you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to just call somebody that's never heard of you. You want to be sending them your NCSA profile. They then call your coach and say, have that young man or have that young lady call me at this time on this date. I'll be expecting to hear from them. They can talk all day about recruiting. That's called indirect contact. That is the biggest as an underclassman. How do I get discovered? You have to have an online presence now. Yes, playing for travel teams is wonderful. The 10, 20 schools in that area might find you. But are you just trying to be found, or are you trying to pick a school because it has the right academic curriculum? They are going to have playing time for you. There's so many other options. Again, playing for the right travel teams and the right exposure teams are great, but you're still missing that communication aspect if you're not sending your resume out. That's what this is. A lot of coaches are going to show up to tournaments, showcases, camps, combines, and they're going to have a list of kids that have reached out to them that they might be interested in. They've seen their video, they've talked to their coach, and now they know it's not a waste of their time. They show up, they pull your page up, and they say, there he is, there she is, seen what I need to see. And now they're going to make a decision if they want to contact you. How do you get discovered? If you do not have an online profile, once again, you're making this way harder for yourself than you need to, okay? If you had to go 30 miles down the road, of course, you'd get there if you walked, but you don't have to do that anymore. We have cars now, okay? This is a very digital world. Things are much, much faster. How do coaches evaluate prospects, okay? Coaches evaluate a lot of different things. They're going to look at your film. They're going to look at your grades, and then they're going to want to talk to your coaches. They're going to want to talk to a third party like NCSA. They're going to want to get some unbiased opinion. They don't want to just call a parent and have your parent tell them how wonderful you are and that they would love it if you got a scholarship because they don't have to pay for school. That's every parent. Okay. How do coaches evaluate prospects? Well, like a lot of websites right now, this is kind of a funny analogy, but if you go on like cars.com or you go on anything where you have filters and you say, I just want a red car and it needs to be an SUV, whatever it is, you can do that in just seconds. Well, a coach can literally come on here and say, all right, I am a lacrosse coach and I'm looking for a midi, and they need to be from either Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, or Rhode Island, and need to have been playing club this many years, varsity this many years with a GPA of 3.5, and now this huge list of NCSA athletes pops up for them, and they can see right on there how high of a match that kid is for what that coach set up for what they're looking for. So now when they have the list of the kids that they're actually going to be interested in, now they're going to start contacting your coaches. And I hope you all have great, wonderful relationships with your coaches, right? Nobody has politics at their school, right? That's going to happen, guys. I'm well aware of it. We hear it all day long. We hear from a couple thousand families a day that we're communicating with, and that is going to happen. But make sure that you have a coach that you want college coaches talking to, that you have a good relationship with. If you're not getting the playing time you think you deserve, if you're a parent and you don't think your kid's getting a fair shot, talk with that coach, figure out what it is they need to be doing. Don't corner them. Okay. Where am I qualified to play? This is so, so important. This is not about where do I want to play. This is about where am I qualified to play. And that is what the recruiting assessment is going to kickstart for you. Okay. This is not to put a ceiling on it. This is not to say you're not going to play D1. It's nothing like that. It's just to give you realistic expectations about what you're projected at right now based on what we learn. Okay. And this is for you as a family to just get a sense of realistic opportunities for your son or your daughter, or if you are the student athlete. And we just want to make sure that you know who to be targeting and why. And again, this isn't to limit you. Things can change, but it's really important to have a good understanding. Division I is a wonderful opportunity for a lot of us, and a lot of us that we're watching the College World Series, or we watch March Madness, and you see the LSUs and the Dukes and the Alabamas and the North Carolinas, and we all want to go there because it looks awesome and it's on TV. That is a very small percentage. I hope you all make it to that level. It probably won't happen, okay? But also know this, it's not for everybody. Some of us don't want 11 and a half months out of the year to be told what to wear, what to eat, what time you wake up, what classes you're going to take. It's a business, all right? Division I is not for everybody, but your locker room's going to look like the Taj Mahal. You're going to be flying all over the country. You're going to have more gear than you know what to do with. For a lot of kids, it's an awesome, awesome experience, but it's a business for 4 years, and they own you, okay? It's not for everybody. It's not to scare you guys away, but there's a lot of wonderful opportunities at different division levels, smaller schools. Maybe you have a much harder academic curriculum and you want to really focus in the classroom, but you can't quite give your sport up. Look at Division III, look at NAIA, okay? Division II is a wonderful mix between high competition, but also a little bit more freedom. You actually can go home on the holidays, unlike a lot of times at Division I. And junior colleges, do not sneer at them, especially if you have a little bit harder time in the classroom, some of us. 2-year schools, get your prerequisites out of the way. They're a lot cheaper. They have a lot more athletic scholarships there. And coaches at 4-year schools love looking at JUCO kids. Don't rule those out. There's some great opportunities for you if you really can't make up your mind what you're doing or where you're going. And not as big of a commitment, a lot cheaper to get a lot of those prerequisites out of the way. Great option for a lot of us. Okay. When I was in high school, I was very lucky. I won back-to-back state championships for basketball. All 5 of our starters went on to play in college. I'm the only one that played 4 years. The rest of them all were unrealistic. They went to schools where it was just all about playing the name game, going to the biggest school possible, and they either ended up quitting, getting cut, or transferring. It just wasn't for them. So again, this isn't to scare you out of Division I. Just be realistic. For a lot of you, that probably is going to be a realistic opportunity, and that's what you want, and that's wonderful. Just know what you're getting into. Okay? What is my coach's role? I hope there are some coaches on here, and hopefully they will really appreciate this section. Your coach's role is to be a huge advocate for you. They are to help you with player development. They are to help you with what you're communicating to college programs. Do not, I cannot say this enough, do not put this all on your coach to do for you. And if a coach is telling you, I do all this for you, still do more. Because here's what's going to happen. Your coaches are such an important part of your recruiting process, but any coach will, if they're honest with you, they'll tell you that they are limited to the schools that they have contacts with. And at most, a travel coach, a high-end club coach, a high school coach might know 20, 30 schools, probably not even that much. And that's what you're limited to. Basketball, for example, 1,800 programs in the country, okay? The point of this website is for you to build this list of interest and then bring that to your coach and say, here's the 20 schools that I want to be reaching out to. Here's the 50 schools I want to send my video to, and let's see who gets back to us, okay? But for those of you that are putting this all on your coach or letting your coach tell you, I will do all this for you, you are limiting yourself in a way that you cannot even imagine, okay? but they are a huge part of this. Just don't expect them to be able to do all this for you. They're not paying for your tuition. They have other teammates, and they don't want to sit down all night long and just put spreadsheets together for you and just email aimlessly and hope somebody responds. That is what this website simplifies for them as well. This isn't in place of your coach. This is in unison with your coach so that you guys can just build your list of schools together, and now they're an advocate for you. Okay? What is your coach's role? They are a huge part of your recruiting process. They are not the person that does all your recruiting for you. That is on you as the family. It's not up to somebody else that doesn't have any stake in where you go to school to dictate that. Okay? You probably heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, same thing with recruiting. Parents, private coach, club coach, high school, you all need to be on the same page. If I'm a college coach and I call your high school coach, and I said, I didn't know, Johnny, I didn't know he wanted to play in college. And I say, well, what's he looking to study? Well, he's never talked to me about that. Okay, we don't expect you to have it all figured out, what you want to study, where you want to go. But the second a college coach contacts one of your contacts and they sound confused, they didn't know you wanted to play in college, college coach says, thanks, that's all I need to hear. They don't have time to waste. They need to keep their jobs. They want people that are going to represent their programs the right way. So you all need to be on the same page with what it is you're looking for, at least right now. Things are going to change. Again, this isn't to put pressure on you guys and try to figure out everything overnight, what you're going to study, where you're going to go, but start to get an idea. Coach, I might be looking into engineering. I'm thinking about maybe even chemistry, maybe architecture. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I want a smaller school right now. I'm pretty sure playing time is the most important thing to me. Just these are the types of things you want to start to understand, and that is what NCSA helps you with, is to start asking you questions that you should be asking yourself so that when you get on the phone with a coach, you feel prepared. I have a good family friend. He called me and talked my ear off for about an hour the other day. He's on the premium site, and the biggest thing he was talking to me about was beyond just the connecting tools, beyond the video highlight editing and all of that. The biggest thing that he was doing for his son by using this was how he presents himself to college programs. And he's just talking about the difference a year has made in the questions that he asks when he's on the phone, how confident he is. When a coach calls, they're blown away with just how ready this student athlete is to talk to a coach. And if you ask yourself right now, is my son or daughter ready for a college coach to call them? More often than not, I'm guessing the answer is no. All right. So, again, if you're all on here tonight, you all said me. If you're a student athlete that wants to compete in college, or a parent that you're on here because you have a son or daughter that wants to, again, you're going to make your recruiting process way harder on yourself than you need to if you don't have at least a basic profile. Again, I use the analogy of this being like LinkedIn. It's the biggest resume holder by far. I have a lot of friends that still coach in college that almost exclusively use it because it's just not a waste of their time. It's not a public site where anybody posts whatever they want. But make sure to get your page verified. You should see a little badge in the bottom right there. So you have your profile. It's got all your video. It's got your schedule of where coach can come watch you play. They know when you're coming to tournaments. They know how to come view you or send somebody to come view you. But it's not going to show up as a match for them until you've had your recruiting assessment. That is your phone interview. It's not intimidating. It's fun. It's interactive. We just want to make sure that we're confident with what students and what families are on here. Get your page verified. I'm going to show you how to do that at the very end of this, okay? Next, building your NCSA profile. This is really important, especially for international kids that are on here. You're going to notice that when you're submitting your profile, you have to enter a 5-digit zip code. We're very mindful that you don't have that being overseas. So unfortunately, the workaround is to just fill out a fake zip code for you right now. Once your profile exists, then you can go back in and edit it. But all of you should be able to go right to edit profile and just start adding to your page right now. It prompts you for everything. It's straightforward. It says add a picture, add your position. I cannot emphasize enough to get going on that. It shouldn't sound like homework. It should be fun. This is your home page. Think of it like Facebook, although it's not public. It's just your home page, and it's just for coaches to look at. All right. So like I promised, I'm going to go over the NCSA premium site now. And once again, the first person that says, what does it cost? That's like asking, what does a car cost? Well, what are you looking for? There are so many variations to this to make sure there's something for every single family to be able to help their kid with if they need to. And if you're a parent of an athlete, you probably should look into it, at least know this option. As you look at this right now, here's an example of a school in Texas, Angelo State. And if you look on the bottom right, for any of you that are skeptical right now, I was in the same shoes 5 years ago, and so are the other 600 people that work here now that probably were a coach or college athlete that used this website and are familiar with it. But if you look on the bottom right here, it shows you what students we've placed at each school for each sport, just so you have reference. You know that this actually works if you're going to use it. All right. So I am very, very envious of what you guys have access to. I did not have anything like this when I was your age. I used to send VHS tapes in the mail, and that was my recruiting process, and I just would hope for the best. Now, you have some tools that are unbelievably sophisticated to help you as a family streamline all this, so you're not panicking about what schools you should be contacting, what schools are going to be a good fit for my kid academically, because I don't want him to just be worried about basketball or just about softball. What happens is we take into consideration three major pieces of criteria. Number one is what you want in a school. So, and you can edit this at any time. It's going to rematch you with schools, but what you're looking for academically, geographically, athletically, what you're capable of, it takes into consideration what you want in a school. Number two is we're going to take into consideration where you're able to play. We're not going to be putting Division I 5-star kids in front of the smaller schools and vice versa. We just want to make sure that no one's wasting anybody's time. But we're going to look at your film. We're going to look at where you've played, the competition you played against, get a few different opinions, and get a rating system going. Number three, most importantly on the coach side, is what they want. I shouldn't say most importantly overall, because most importantly is what you want. But for coaches and how this works, they all come in here. They tell us exactly what they need. I'm a college football coach. I need a wide receiver. I need a center. I need a long snapper and a punter in the class of 2018. Here's my criteria. So all of this gets factored into an algorithm, and literally every school in the country at every division level that offers your sport, you're going to know your match percentage with that program today. So where you're projected today, that can change if you get bigger, stronger, faster. If you don't update this, okay, if you grow 5 inches, if you gain 15 pounds, if you take 0.4 seconds off your 40-yard dash, whatever it might be, your match is still going to show your last updates. So you can't get mad at it if you haven't updated it in 2 years. All right. So that's how this works. But college match to let you know what schools you should be targeting. All right. Roster openings. All right. It's a really small example, but if you look at that, I think it says 303 on the top there, and that's just pages. So this is an example of football. So it's just showing you how many pages of roster openings that are on here. Okay. Most any school in the country is going to send us in what exactly they're looking for in each graduation year by position. So for example, if you are a soccer player and you're a goalkeeper and you're looking at a school that already has a goalkeeper and they were a sophomore last year and they were an All-American and you're probably not going to see the field for 3 years, there's not a huge demand for you, probably not the school to be targeting. So this just helps you organize what schools you should be looking at. All right. If this doesn't get you excited, I don't know what is going to. All right. College coach communication. This is your communication center. Again, if you're just winging it, you're just hoping to show up on the right day at the right time and the perfect school is going to find you on the right play, you're living in fairy tale land. All right. It can happen. You can end up going to a school. You might be one of the best players in the country. That's not most of us. Okay. This is a great example here that I took a snapshot of. This kid had 379 colleges following his high school career. Okay. And you can see right on there which coach is following you, their contact information, which a lot of times they don't have on their website because they don't want you contacting them. And even if you do, they probably have never heard of you and they're not going to check it anyways. You're going to see how many times they've come back to view you. It means they're sharing that information with their staff. But you also have access to their inbox and you can see who's opening your emails. That's one of the biggest things and the biggest advantage, especially for you underclassmen on here, is knowing who's actually opening these. All right, I know a lot of you have great travel coaches, club coaches that say, oh, no, just email them. But they might not get back to you or they might not take you seriously. When they get one of these, what happens is they can actually see how high of a match you are for what they've set up in their preferences. So now when it comes in their inbox and it says, here's John Smith. He's a 96% match for your program. That speaks volumes to them, okay? And on the bottom right here, you're going to see the app that you can literally be walking down in the classroom and walking through the hallways of school and then get a push notification on your cell phone letting you know a school just opened up a roster opening that you seem to be a high match for. Do you want to send them your profile, yes or no? This coach wants to talk to your high school coach, set up a time. So it's your own management system. And parents, you of course want to be able to guide your student athlete, but you don't want to be the helicopter parent that's doing it all for your kid either. This just allows them not only to take advantage of this and learn how to present themselves, but what it also is going to do is keep them motivated. When they can see that a coach is interested in them, but the GPA that they require is just a couple points higher than what your kid has, guess what that typically does to your student athlete? Gives them a little bit more incentive to get their homework done. All right, so here's my contact information. Like I said, I do a lot of our social media. You can certainly connect with me. I'll connect with you. The biggest thing that I've highlighted on there is my email address, and you're going to know why in a second. So again, if you have your pen and paper, write some of this stuff down. I am going to open it up for Q&A here in just a second. And then I'm going to give you your next steps depending on what you told me earlier, CP or LP, okay? So you should have my email address, then my last name, Summers, @ncsasports.org. You're going to have it again right here. Your next step, you all took time out of your night tonight because you're ready to get the recruiting process started, I would assume. If you don't do anything following this, I can't help you. I'm assuming that that's what you're here for. So LPs, if you want to, you can stick around for Q&A. I'm happy to answer questions. You're good to exit the room. At your next screen, there's going to be an option that says schedule a follow-up from one of our recruiting coordinators. It's called a recruiting assessment. That's what you're going to want to do, and we're just going to do a little bit of digging. We're going to call your parents. It's going to come from a 312 number. They don't have to be worried. It's not a telemarketer. It's a 312. It's one of our recruiting coordinators, and they just want to get to know a little bit more about who you are and help you determine when it's going to make sense for your page to be activated. It might not be for another month, another year. That's fine, but LPs, you certainly can still request that, and we'll do that for you. CPs, college prospects, you said you're ready to get to work. Here's what you are going to want to do. Send me an email address, and you should all, if you type CP, be doing this. You're going to send me an email that has your student athlete's full name, sport and graduation year, city, state, and high school, parent or guardian's full names, their phone numbers and email address, and then give me 2 options of what time might work for your family for this recruiting assessment. Again, it's an hour conversation. There's no financial commitment to that. We are more than happy to activate your page and host your resume as long as you're going to keep this page updated. We'll give you guys a do-it-yourself plan for reaching out to schools, how to put your video together. Should you need any of the NCSA assistance, we'll find something that works for your budget. So again, it's a win-win. At the very least, we'll give you guys a game plan, though, and activate your student's page, and it is only going to greatly increase the number of schools that are looking at your student athlete, and they can then decide if they want to contact you on their own. So what you can also do, I posted a couple times there that are available right now that I've reserved for students and families that are on here. You can say, hey, these times work for us. The big thing is, don't tell me one parent's going to be there, one parent's not going to be there. This is a huge, pivotal conversation for your family to get your kids' recruiting process started. If you're a single parent, that's fine, but you're going to just want to be mindful of that. The other parent's probably going to want to sit in and ask some questions too and know what the heck you're getting involved with as far as activating a page at the very least, or even looking at part of the premium site too. And that's all in the spirit of helping you keep doors open and compete for scholarships. So CPs, if you have not done so already, you should be emailing me right now with that information. LPs, like I said, you are good to exit the room. I'm going to open this up for Q&A. And if you did neither, I can't help you. I'm not sure what you'd be doing on here tonight, but that should be your next step. If you typed LP, you are good to exit the room. You can certainly stick around for Q&A. CPs, that's what you should be doing. How do I know if I'm a CP or LP? I'm guessing you showed up a little bit late, and that's absolutely fine, Christian. I indicated at the very beginning, CP means college prospect. You are on varsity right now preferably playing club. You are doing all the right things in the classroom. You're ready to get to work. You are a college prospect. LP, I'm saying likely prospect. You don't know if coaches would be interested in you yet, but you're starting to do all the right things. Typically, some of the underclassmen if you're not on varsity yet. Okay? So, that being said, I'm going to open it up for Q&A now. Again, CPs, you should have all emailed me this. I know it's going to take you a second. That's absolutely fine. There's one of me. There's about 80-something of you, and I am more than happy to get back to you. It's just going to take me at least 24 hours, so give me that if you would, please. Let's open this up for Q&A. So you guys type into the chat box. I'm going to answer questions for 5 to 10 minutes here, and then anybody else that needs to get in touch, by all means, you should send me an email anyways because you have that contact information. That is the quickest way that I can help you. So let's go ahead and type into the chat box real quick for some questions, and let's see where it starts. What kind of questions will be asked during the conference call? I want to be prepared for it. Awesome, Gilchrist. I'm glad you asked. Before that call happens, what we do is we talk to your family, and then we send you an email that has a video that you get to watch. It takes 3 minutes, and it just explains what we're going to go over so you can feel prepared for it. It's nothing too earth-shattering. We just want to know your experience as an athlete. We want to know your goals as an athlete. We want to know what you're doing in the classroom. We want to know what types of schools you're going to be interested in. And if we feel confident that you're going to keep this page updated, we'll activate your page happily and at least host your resume for you. If you are receiving emails from college about ID camps for the class of 2019, is that a good thing? Great question, Andre. You might be on a mailing list unless it's personalized. Otherwise, if you're on a mailing list, that's what NCSA is really good about. It's helping you identify who's trying to get you to pay their camp fees and who's actually interested in you. If it's a school that you've been talking to, wonderful. If it's from a coach, yeah. So it still might be just a mailer, and you can usually get an idea of like what's kind of marketing. It just looks like it's something that probably went out to a lot of people. That's fine. If you're not previously talking to that coach, though, it's just an invite. It's at large. That's the risk you're taking is they might not even know who you are. But if you've been talking to that coach, they've talked to your coach, it looks personalized, you better be going to that school if it's something that you want to go to. So hopefully that helps. And again, that's what the advisors here are for. We're not expecting you to take all this in right now, but you have access to us 7 days a week that you can call in and say, hey, coach, this college just emailed us. We don't know how to respond. What do we do? Awesome. Khalil, I am graduating from high school next year. What should my first step? I want to do engineering and play soccer in college. Awesome, Khalil. Get a recruiting assessment. If you have not emailed me yet, do that, especially if you're going to be a senior. What we're going to do is we're going to help you identify how to target the right schools that have engineering, what's realistic for you as far as soccer goes. I don't know enough about your soccer experience, of course, but we are happy to do that. That's what the recruiting assessment is for. Most of you, what I'm going to suggest is contact me. We'll set one of those one-on-ones with you up, and it is going to give you a lot of peace of mind. As far as wrestling goes, if you go all 4 years of high school without becoming a champion or only becoming a city champion, will that hurt your chances of getting into a good college, Julius? I don't know what a good college means to you because there's a lot of different colleges out there for you. Iowa might not be some of the big schools in Central Michigan's, but as far as wrestling goes, there's a lot of different options, and depending on what it is you're looking to study, what geographic location you're looking for, I think you would be able to get into a school and be able to compete. It just really depends on what it is you're looking for. The biggest thing I cannot stress enough, schedule one of these recruiting assessments. We'll give you that feedback once we know a little bit more because I just don't know enough about you yet. I graduate in 2021 and I want to play tennis and study business. Gustavo, awesome. I am so glad that you are on here as a rising freshman. What you are going to want to do, like everybody, schedule one of these recruiting assessments, have one of your family parents call in, contact us. We do need to know a little bit more about you. I don't know if you're playing in the USTA tournaments right now. Not sure, any tournaments outside of your club, your school. Obviously, you're not going to know what number singles or doubles you're going to be yet for your high school. But just to give you kind of perspective, we're happy to set one of those up or tell you when it's going to make sense to set one of those up. What you should absolutely do is have an NCSA profile started. How bad is it if you have little to no film? Gilchrist, I know you said something earlier. I just want to go back up to that. Okay, Gilchrist, what sport do you play and what is your graduation year? I don't know that. How bad is it to not have film? It's not good. You definitely want to have film. So lacrosse, 2018. Okay. Unless you are like the leading goal scorer in your conference, there's just not a ton of stats that coaches are going to be able to take a look at. So film is going to be huge for you right now. Need to get that going as soon as you can. If it's going to have to wait, it's going to have to wait. You can probably ask some other parents or coaches if they have some. It's the first indicator for a lot of colleges if you are somebody that they want to take their time to come watch live. It's the first thing they're going to do. When they pull up your NCSA page, yes, they look at your academics. Yes, they look at the school you play for. But when there's a big shiny button right in the middle that says play, and it's not a waste of their time, they're going to watch your video. So that is huge for you. I've had about 5 or so swimming coaches contact me. I graduated in 2018. How do I increase the amount of coaches that contact me? Eugene, I am so glad you asked. You should be setting up a recruiting assessment. And what we're going to do is give you a lot of feedback on a whole new list of schools that you've probably never even considered, and you want to proactively reach out to them. You want to do it with your profile, though. You don't want to do it from your unsolicited email because that coach has probably never heard of you. 5 schools is good. Top of my head, I want to say there's about 900 men's swimming programs, okay? About 1,000 on the female side. So I apologize. I forget if you're the parent or the student athlete. But if you have 5 schools looking at you, there should probably be a lot more. And that's what your recruiting assessment is going to help you identify is what other schools you might want to be reaching out to. My family is limited by finances. What is my best course of action for getting recruited? Josh, this is not about spend money or don't do it. Again, there's premium help here, and there's a lot of ways that we make that affordable for any parent to be able to help their kid. We have a lot of grants, we have scholarships. Some kids, it's next to nothing. Some kids, it's nothing if they qualify for a grant. So it really depends. However, the biggest thing to do is not be afraid of contacting us. We're happy to help you. We're not worried about that, okay? We just want to make sure that you have the right information. The biggest thing you can do is get the support of the team here. There's a lot of kids that I've worked with. I talked to a young man who didn't have any of his parents. His older brother was raising him. We hooked him up with this, and it's a really awesome story. He ended up with a full ride to go to college, and that was kind of a life-changing thing for him. So do not worry about that. We'll figure something out, okay? All right, I got time for just a couple more here, and then I'm going to ask you to please send me an email because you should have already anyways. I believe Chase has already talked to Coach Campbell from NCSA. Is that Mike Campbell? Coach Campbell's an awesome guy. He will be playing for Planet Baseball this summer, and I've received several personal emails to come to prospect camps, including other travel ball teams. How do we decide which other camps to attend from all the email requests? Chase, great. Again, you are just going to get a lot of schools that are trying to get you to come pay their camp fees, as you're starting to understand. That's what NCSA is very good about helping you with when you're on the premium site, is we'll let you know what schools are actually interested in you, what schools are just sending you the generic stuff. A lot of times you can figure out what schools are the ones that are just sending you generic information. But if that coach has never contacted you prior, they've never contacted your coaches, you don't think there's any reason they would know who you are, you're probably just on a mailing list. So unless that is just an absolute dream school and you think you have the ability to play there, it might not make sense for you to go to that ID camp. Okay. Madison, I do play summer beach volleyball for club as well, but I don't know if I should go to summer college camps. Camps are great for player development. Camps are great to get in front of schools if you know they're interested in you and if that's a school you want to go to. So just please make sure you're not going to camps just for the sake of going to camps. If you're going there to develop as a player, wonderful. If you're going there because that's a school that you know that you want to get in front of, even better. But there are schools, as you know, that have beach volleyball too. So other than that, it looks like we are just about done. Can I get the recording is what somebody else said. Yes, of course. What I cannot stress enough, send me an email. I can't send you a recording through here. So if you want slides, if you want a recording, anything that you need, my email address has been sitting right there in the middle there. And if you haven't sent me an email yet, there's not a lot I can do to help you because I'm going to lose this list of people. So I hope this was extremely helpful. Again, you have your next steps here. If you told me that you're a likely prospect, the next screen has you request a recruiting assessment. Certainly we'll follow up with you. It'll be from a 312 number. But the college prospects, you should have sent me that email, and we'll be happy to try to find a time that works for you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys on a future webinar. Again, for the international students that are on here, I'm teaching one strictly for you guys coming up here. It's going to be a lot of similar content, but a lot of different stuff for you guys too. There'll be some different slides for you. So we look forward to that as well. Everybody have a great night. Everybody be safe. Clean up that social media. Shoot me an email if you haven't already. It's rsummers, SOMERS, at ncsasports.org. And I apologize. I'm going to do one more question just because Jackson snuck it in. I'm a track and field jumper who's looking for a major in math. Would I set up a recruiting assessment today? Jackson, set it up like yesterday. All right. What we'll do is help you figure out what schools you should be targeting based on your academic, athletic, and geographic preferences. Have a good night, everybody. It was awesome tonight. Thank you. Great questions. We'll talk to you soon. And please give me 24 hours to get back to you. Bye-bye.